5 things you may go looking for on a Porsche 718 GTS 4 litre. Now, I've owned this car now for, I think it's about 8 months. I previously owned a 2 litre version of this car, which has a lot of the things in exactly the same place as this one does, although the engine sizes on the two make one thing slightly different, which you don't want to get muddled up, and I'm going to show you when we get to the back of the car. However, what I'll do is I'll start at the front end and I will go through a couple of things that you may need to go looking for that are hidden, that if somebody doesn't tell you where they are, you wouldn't know where to look for them to start with. So inside this front boot there are maybe 3 things you're going to go looking for. They're not that difficult to find, apart from one of them is a little bit hidden. Now inside here they've got 2 cubby holes for this car, and the first thing that I think you're probably going to go looking for is the alloy wheel nut. Now again, these cars follow the same format as the 911s do, and the 992 had them in a very similar place, but they're slightly different in terms of their design. So let's have a look and I'll show you where the alloy wheel nut is first. So you come in here, we're on the right hand side. You can see this one is a little bit larger than the one on the left. Incidentally, that is the hazard triangle for the side of the road. If you come in here, you've got a little handle, you need to just pull it outwards and it'll unclip because it's just clipped in, and it is hooked in at the back there with the clips, and there you go. So there you go, there's the alloy locking wheel nut. In this long thing it is a screwdriver and spanner, and there's your tow bar for recovery. We put it back, you just got to clip it in there, push it and make sure it clips in, and it should be solid. Now on the other side, the other thing you may go looking for in here is, if you're going to get the alloy wheel nut off and you've got a problem with a flat, if you're stuck out somewhere, you will likely have this kit. Now you'll only have this kit if you paid the £42 to include it with the air compressor, or if it was part of your design when you spec'd the car. Incidentally, my car was ordered at a time when they were making me add that £42 as an extra, so I had to spec it. Now, where is the air compressor? The air compressor is located in the same place as it was on my 992, but it's in a place that's a little bit difficult to find. Now, if I show you, under here is where your air compressor is. Now, there's a box, this covered box inside there that has the air compressor kit in, and to get to this, you've got 2 handles here, and you have to pull the plastic from underneath this ridge. So I'll pop this open and I'll show you exactly where it is. So now that I've got that free, it didn't take much to get it free. If we lift it off, there you go. Now you've got the entire front here where you've got your battery and everything, which wasn't one of the things I was looking for, but it is there anyway. As you can see, but it's visible without you having to take this off, that is your washer fluid cap. But there, can you see the logo on the top? That is your air compressor, and there, if you flick this off, you can see that it's there. Now I haven't actually opened mine. I probably should have done to check it and make sure it works, so I will at some point in the very near future when I check my tyre pressures. I did do it on my 992 to make sure, but I trust them, it did work on the last one. It is, if I remember correctly, just a VW part. Now what you find is this clips back in quite easy, but it is a little bit, it's not the sturdiest thing, but you just need to remember that this does need to go back over the top because it's just over there to keep the seal, but you need to pull it back over the top after you put this in, because you probably need to put the top end in first and then tuck this over afterwards. So in the back of this car we have the 2 points where you will want to put your oil and your water coolant for the engine. Now the strange thing about this is that in the 2 litre they're on one side, in the 4 litre that I have they're reversed because they're 2 different engines. So you can double check this by just basically taking them off, and it's quite obviously identifiable by the colour. So let's have a look and I'll show you. On the left hand side got the fluid, water, coolant. These just twist on and off like that, and then on the right hand side we have the oil. Now incidentally, I had a oil warning light come up saying I was low on oil, and I was only at about 3,700 miles. Now I did do a little check online, and a lot of other people that said they had this car with the 4 litre, they said that they had probably reached somewhere between 3,000 to 6,000 miles. It seemed to vary between people's comments as to whether they needed to top up the oil or not, because the min warning light had come on. So with the engine only turned on to the first position, we have the ability to look at the menu. So within here, you want to be in the first screen where you've got this one here. With mine, we're using the stick because that is what I have in here. And you want to push it forward and that will take you into the menu. Now, in terms of that, what we want to do is we want to go to oil measurement, hit it forward again, and there we go. So at the minute I'm hitting in between the min max level at about the middle. When I first put the oil in, I just put a little bit in and then I let it sit and I let it sort itself out a little bit. It still was just sitting above and the light was still on, so I put a little bit more in and then I left it. And to be honest with you, it rose, but it only got to about just under halfway, so I put a little bit more in and then all of a sudden it shot up to about 2/3. I would say just do a little bit at a time. Make sure the light goes off, and as long as it's in between the min and max, you're going to get there. I have seen it at different levels over the times I've been checking it, and it has been when it's been hot or cold. I just don't know how quickly that level catches up with it. Little and often better than putting far too much in, because you can't get it straight back out again. You can keep topping it up, but you can't take it straight back out. Now, the next thing that you might go looking for in this car, because obviously you want to plug your phone in and things, is the USB connectors. Now there is two in this car and they're not next to each other. In the 992 they were both in the center console. In this car you'll find that one of them is actually in here, but it is just the one. The other one is actually inside the glove box and it's located there. So you can either plug your phone in here with a cable or you can plug it in to the center console. Now the next thing you might look for, if you're over here, if you can see, it's not really the ability to put any cups anywhere. So what they've actually done in these older cars and the 991, 911, they've got them in here and they just pop out like so. On the 992 you had one over here and it came out of the dash, and the other one was actually something that swapped over in here for you to be able to change it over and put a cup holder in. And here this is the original Porsche design solution to this problem. Now I don't really use them, I never have used them, and the only reason for that is because I don't like to bring food and drink inside my car, and that's just because I try to keep it clean and tidy in here, and I also don't like sort of food smells or whatever being inside here, because I was trying to keep the new car smell as much as I could, and I think it's kind of nearly gone now, so never mind about that one. The other thing that might be interesting to you is a quirk that I found to do with the Sports Chrono. Now that's a feature of this GTS because the Sports Chrono comes specifically with this car included. If you've got the Sports Chrono, you'll be able to change this as well, and I found this just by mucking about. If we go to settings, date and time, untick this bottom one, this is what happens if I untick that box. So deep down inside this driver's footwell, you can see this is a UK spec car with the right hand drive. That is your 12 volt connection point for anything you may want to plug in, which I use a Hoover for, that I use inside the car. So the other thing you might not have realised that was there, and because this is a two-seater and not the 992, 911 where you have two back seats, is that behind the seats in the driver's and the passenger side, there's actually a little cubby hole. So if we have a look, can you see we've got here where there's two slidey holes. Now this hole, if you can see, it's quite deep, but it's all sort of carpet felt interior, and I don't know what you would actually put in there to hide. I mean, these little covers are not exactly hidden, everybody can see that they're there, but they are there if you need some extra storage.